Well, hello there, and welcome back to the latest edition of my Love Machine podcast. Now, today I'm going to be talking to you all about a very difficult subject that many of you might have encountered recently over lockdown, which is all about the troubles of loneliness. Now, loneliness is one of the most common human emotions. It's even possible to feel lonely when you're surrounded by a large group of people, no matter if you're stuck on your own during lockdown. And loneliness isn't necessarily just about the absence of people in your life. In fact, there's a mountain of evidence that suggests that loneliness is not caused by being alone, it's caused by a lack of meaningful relationships that feel deep and satisfying. While relationships that start online certainly can become deep and satisfying, in fact many people do find their life mates online, gaining this sort of depth takes time. Now, loneliness isn't entirely within our control, but there is a lot that each of us can do to tilt the odds in our favour. You've not got to stay lonely if you're willing to put in the effort. And today I'll be talking about loneliness with a new friend of mine, she's called Nicky Dunn, and she is the head matchmaker of a wonderful new company called Pi Society, which are a professional matchmaking agency in Devon. And I believe, Nicky, you also do events as well.
We certainly do, yes. So I started the business back in 2017 with the idea of matchmaking, but loneliness back then was an issue, and it's not just an issue for the elderly. It's becoming more and more apparent that younger people are becoming more and more lonely too. So with that in mind, I decided to create lots of different social events for like-minded people to get together and to meet, so single people. But lots of different events, from kind of walks to kayaking, so lots of outdoor events, as well as kind of eating and drinking events too. So very, very social, and it's been a brilliant success. So I've been really, really chuffed the way that it's been run so far.
Have you found that this is picked up during lockdown, during this difficult times, or has things changed?
So lockdown was a very strange time for us matchmakers, but as we just didn't know where we kind of stood in terms of getting people together. So, I mean, I was doing maybe 4 or 5 events a week for people in Devon, and suddenly that all quashed. We couldn't create any exciting events for anyone. So we changed, we created then probably 3 events a week online. So we've done kind of activities like yoga and fitness evenings. We've done quiz nights. We've done online speed dating nights, which has been fun.
Is that your blind date events you've been doing?
No, well, we did that as a kind of a bit of a one-off. We are going to be doing another one in September, but that just was really, really well received. And the 2 dates that were formed, they got on really, really well. And I think it's just brilliant entertainment. So many people just really enjoyed it.
For those that don't know, what exactly was the event?
So we created a blind date event where we had this most wonderful lady called Lucy Matthews, who does PR in Devon, and she's always wanted to be Scylla. So
Haven't we all?
Yeah. But in a kind of more actress kind of theatrical sense, and she was just fantastic. She could have been Scylla herself, and she asked all the right questions, and we did it via Zoom, and people can kind of have a look at it on our YouTube channel, and it just worked really, really well. We even had our Graham to kind of do all the voiceovers, so it was really good fun. Everyone enjoyed it.
I've seen the feedback from it. Everyone's commenting on social media what a great fun event it was. And I think that's amazing that you did that, because looking for new opportunities to help singles is so important right now. Now, going back to the subject of loneliness again, because that is our topic today. You mentioned earlier that young people are really struggling with loneliness. And I discovered recently that according to a recent study around 2020, back January earlier this year, and they interviewed 10,000 Americans aged 18 and over, and apparently 61% of adults reported back that they felt lonely. So that's 3 out of 5 people felt really, really lonely, and they were feeling that. This is before lockdown, and that number is up about 7% from 2018. And in fact, young people in particular, maybe between 18 to 24, they are the people that are struggling most with this, particularly guys. And also, they're the ones that are doing online dating, and they're using dating apps. And dating apps have their purpose, but I think now what's happened is people are feeling lonely and they're feeling cut off from meeting people because thanks to lockdown, thanks to the global pandemic, as they call it, we are all experiencing new ways of looking at the world. And loneliness has always been a problem, but it's been a problem tenfold now. If people have not got a partner, they've not got a close set of friends around them, then it's really, really hard to communicate, to live your life, and to tell people what's going on in your mind, and to unwind, to offload problems that you might have. Do you agree with me?
Oh, absolutely. And like I said earlier, in terms of when I set up this, it wasn't just the loneliness in the older generation, it is more and more in the younger generation. And these dating apps are really, really not, they're so superficial, because you are creating kind of superficial friendships maybe, or potential relationships. And there's so much ghosting that goes on. You'll connect with somebody and you'll enjoy a kind of conversation online, but then suddenly you won't hear from them again. And so many people are just feeling this kind of real disconnect with the social outside world. It's damaging to their mental health. I think they don't necessarily, it is building up anxiety as well when meeting people.
It does. It changes the way that we see the world and the way we see ourselves. I know that approximately 10 hours a week is the average amount of time that somebody under 30, maybe between 18 and 30, I have to say, that uses dating apps and does online dating. That's an awful large chunk of their time. And especially if they're in lockdown, they're going to increase the amount of time spent having virtual communications with people that they don't even know anything about. They're not helping you create a deeper, more meaningful connection. You're going on there, you're just flicking away. Are you attracted to them, yes or no? And in most chances, you're going to maybe swipe them or not swipe them, and you may or may not get a match, and you're not going to be meeting them. And I think what's happened is you've had virtual dating has happened quite a lot over lockdown. And I've discussed this before on my podcast. I think that's a good little gimmick that worked for a small period of time, and it does serve a purpose if you can't meet people right away, maybe due to distance or you're shielding, whatever it might be. But a virtual date is not a long-term date replacement. You should still try and get out there and meet people in the real world. Do you think people struggle with communicating with people even more so now in the real world than they did before?
Yes, I think so, because they're not used to. So we entered lockdown, and there was a huge amount of anxiety around, and we did communicate, either telephone or Zoom or FaceTime, but it just wasn't that physical connection that you get from meeting somebody physically. And and still we're not going to kind of meet people necessarily in bars or even socially at work, because those workplaces aren't as they were. Everyone is kind of working, not everyone, but a lot of people are working from home nowadays, so therefore not getting that social interaction. You kind of avoid people when you go shopping now. You can't, you're kind of walking away from people. It's a very, very strange kind of environment that we're living in currently.
It's even more difficult. You mentioned going around, even walking down the street, walking into supermarkets, even into bars to start with. We've all got masks on now as well. And so many of us had masks on virtually before we even started doing this. People were afraid to be themselves, to show the real version of themselves. Now we've all got masks on. It's like walking into a bank but everyone's trying to rob you. It's very tricky. Or a very weird fancy dress masquerade party. And I've run them. I've run big masquerade parties, and they're good fun initially. But after an hour, you take the mask off. And you can't do that in a supermarket. So you can't get the eye contact with people that you want to do before. You can't read what they're thinking. And it closes off so many avenues of communication. Okay, you might be able to say hello to the person on the checkout, and ask how the day's going. And generally, most conversations will be about the mask. And they'll say to you, how are you getting on with the mask? So you have to wear it all day. And it's boring. You can't meet people and you can't connect with them as deeply as you want to. And the same problem does come, of course, with online dating and dating apps. People are living virtually, they're going onto these apps and they're not having a real life phone call or a conversation in real life. They're just texting away, thinking what they're going to say in advance, and then being really creative, being really clever. And if they lose interest, then that's it. You never are going to meet them in real life. Now, I know that you mentioned that you do run lots of singles events, and some of them have been outdoors recently, you said.
Yes, yes. Well, we've done lots up on Dartmoor, and so they're great because immediately you're going to get people who like the same things. So whether it's going for wall walking or coastal walks, or even we did a cycling event cycling event. So immediately you have some commonality of when these people meet. They both enjoy cycling or kayaking or paddleboarding. So there is that common kind of meeting of minds, so to speak, and they can immediately make a connection, even if they are quite shy themselves. There is something to talk about. So yeah, they always work really well, and a lot of people have met through the events without the matchmaking services. So that's just been but also lovely friendships have been formed, which is equally really, really important. So yeah.
It really is important. Just making new friends is just as important as maybe meeting a long-term partner, because many people have not got a close network of friends around them, a support circle as I call it. Maybe you've got one or two friends, maybe they're married off, maybe you can't really talk to them as much as you'd like. I think men in particular do struggle with this because men don't tend to have as large a social circle as women do. Women tend to hang around in groups, do the same things together and hang out, but guys would tend to be more lone wolves. And they really, really struggle, which is why it's really, really difficult to do that, to go out and to talk to people. And it could be nerve-wracking to go to an event. Anyone, male or female, if you haven't been before and don't know what to expect. So I'd imagine, when I used to run singles events, and I ran them for about 15 years. In fact, I was due to run some more and start the whole new cycle again with new types of events. And lockdown came along and that's on hold now. But I imagine at your events, that you'll be there, you'll probably have hosts there to look after them. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. It's so important to have that welcoming feel. And then we can, because maybe we've met some of them before, we can then introduce them to other people that they may be interested in chatting to, male or female. It's just trying to get that kind of conversation flowing. And yes, they will be shy and nervous, but we always make them feel it at ease so that they get the best out of the whole event.
That's really important to know that, because people might be apprehensive about going to a singles event. Particularly now, people are a bit more nervous than ever before about venturing out. I presume you don't wear masks, do you, if you're outside?
No, we don't. I think the only event we had was we took a ferry from one point to another across the estuary, and everyone had to wear masks, so they took their own mask. But,
that sounds great fun. You have to go to a singles event where you get a ferry. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just all sorts. I've been very creative with different events, and I think people really appreciate that because, yeah, they're just interesting.
That's what it's all about. You mentioned about shared experiences and shared interest, and that is what brings people together. Everyone's going to be a bit nervous to start with going to these things. Everyone feels a certain degree of loneliness. And the very fact that you're going to a singles event is great because you're putting yourself out there. You're telling the world, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to meet new people. In fact, I had a client recently, and I can't say too much about it, but he was quite a young chap. He spent the last 8 years at home. He'd never left the house. He was homeschooled. He never ventured out. He had some severe anxiety. But he decided enough was enough, and he moved to another country, and he started working with me, and I've helped him interact. And he's doing amazingly. It was that initial push that he needed. Time had come to put himself out there. He didn't want to be stuck in lockdown and have this going on for another 8 years. Because we've no idea of knowing how long this pandemic is going to go on for. Opportunities are here rather than problems. And it's about how we handle them and what we decide to do. And even a simple step, if you're lonely, going out, walking down the street, and just even with a mask on, and just asking someone directions or asking what the time is starting the conversations. That's all it is. Every friend you've ever had, every partner you've ever had, has just started from an initial hello and an introduction. And that's the first part of this. And singles events are a fantastic way to do this, rather than online dating. And online dating absolutely can work, but only for certain people. If you're lonely, online dating is just a place to hide. It's not going to help you necessarily move forward and meet someone in the long term, because you're going to be on there virtually. You're going to hide behind the phone, have interactive virtual conversations. So singles events are fantastic. There's not many of them out there at the moment, so it's great that you're doing them now, Nicky, at the moment, because many people aren't doing them. Many of the online dating companies have been doing virtual dating, and some of the speed dating companies have been doing online virtual speed dating events. And that's a bit of a gimmick. It's fun for some people, but after a while, people do crave the real life human interaction. How has the matchmaking side of your business been since lockdown?
Oh, that's been an interesting one again. The first couple of weeks, first 3 or 4 weeks, probably it was fairly quiet, as you can quite imagine, that everyone was really anxious about whether to meet anybody or not. But actually, I was getting more and more inquiries as lockdown was going through, because I think the loneliness aspect was really deepening, and they were just kind of craving to meet someone. Not only that, their loneliness issue was it was so apparent, and they have done lots of reflective. They've spent time reflecting on what they want out of life and what they don't want. And I think when I've spoken to a lot of the new clients, they have said, I've just had enough of being on my own. I just want to be with somebody now. I know what I want, and I want you to try and help me. So it's been really lovely to hear from these people. There has been other people that I've been contacting who are maybe on my books, and they're saying, look, I just want to hold off. I don't want to necessarily meet anyone. But it's just been actually really positive, the way that people are thinking, that they've had enough. They've got to a point where they just don't want to be on their own anymore. Yeah.
That's what I've experienced myself. Many good matchmakers out there have been inundated with people signing up because they think, do you know what? I've reflected upon this. I've had a long enough time on my own. The time has come now to finally reach out to the world and say, I want to meet somebody and spend the rest of my life together. Because nobody wants to go through this anymore on their own, particularly if you have a second, third, fifth, 100th lockdown. Who knows what's going to happen? People have had enough of this loneliness business. They're taking charge, and they're reaching out, and they're doing best they can to try and meet people. And I think matchmakers really can help, because they're going to be able to find you similar-minded people with the same values, the same interests as you, and it's a great way of doing it. And I think you are probably more affordable than many of the agencies that I do work with, and because I've seen your prices, they're very reasonable, and I imagine a lot of work goes into them still, and you still have to vet people and you have to matchmake them.
Yeah.
Do you still enjoy
Absolutely.
doing that?
Yes, I know. It's fascinating. I spent nearly 20 years in recruitment, and I just feel that this is. I always was really proud of all the recruitment that I did. Businesses used to come to me because I used to understand people had personality, and businesses needed certain personalities to be within their business. So when I started up matchmaking, it was just delving into a deeper level, understanding people and what makes them tick. But like a CV, when you're doing recruitment, and like online dating, a profile picture and a profile doesn't ultimately show people's values and what they're all about, and what, underlying what really makes them tick, and how you can kind of connect two people together. That's fundamentally, obviously chemistry is number one, but I think values is definitely number two.
I would agree. With matchmaking, it's not always an instant process. It takes time, doesn't it? You have to really get to know people, and it's the matchmaker's job to get to know you. Because what you tell people that you want and the way you sell yourself isn't always a true version of who you really are and what you really want. People tend to live their lives to try and please other people or to try and impress them, or they might lie to themselves and think that they've got things to offer they really haven't. But with matchmaking, the whole process is deeper and it can really work out who the real you is and what you really truly want, which at the end of the day is just to find love, and that's something that everybody wants to find in life. It's an important thing that we need to thrive and survive. So I'm glad that's going well for you, because I imagine that would get really busy now. Even once summer is over, people will think, well, what do I do now? What do I do for entertainment as well, singles events? Because there isn't an awful lot to do. We can't really go to the cinema. We can't go out to the theatre. We can't do all the things that we did before. So the chances are there to go and meet people on a one-to-one basis through matchmaking or through singles events, and indeed through online dating to some degree. But if you're going to do online dating, do it properly. Put the full effort into it, and don't just stick on the site forever and text away or email away as virtual pen pals. Try and get them to meet you for a drink outside and a picnic in the park, wherever it might be. Go out there and meet people, because they'll be craving human interaction in the same way that you are. Nicky, any other tips you can give us that spring to mind on the subject of loneliness?
Oh, in terms of loneliness, yeah, it's really important. So my top tips really to overcome loneliness by yourself is change the name of loneliness to a sense of freedom. So try not to think about that word. Just try and think of it as a sense of freedom, and also go back to doing things you love. Maybe it's something that you haven't done since you were a child. Maybe it was, I don't know, whether it's swimming or whether it's cycling or whether it's doing some art. And also go back to a beautiful memory and play that memory as a movie in your head, to bring up good feelings in your body. Try kind of mindfulness if you haven't done it already, and set yourself small things for a purpose to achieve every day. And it's really important to try something or learn something new. I suppose we all feel lonely at times, and I personally have a story to tell about loneliness, and it's very similar to what you were saying earlier, James, about being with lots of people can actually still feel lonely. But 20 years ago, I went travelling around Australia on my own, and at one point I was just outside of in New South Wales, up in the Blue Mountains, and somebody had stolen my wallet. So I had no passport, no cards, no nothing, no money, no nothing. And I was on a day trip that day, and I was sat literally on my own, and I couldn't see anything for miles. And I was sat on a seat, and I just had this weird feeling over me, the other side of the world, didn't know anybody, and I didn't feel lonely at all. Just a weird moment. And I came back home, and it was near Christmas time, and I was out with all my friends, hadn't seen them for three months or so, came back, and I felt more lonely being with my friends than I did at that point in the Blue Mountains with nobody around at all. Wow. So when you say about, it's not about having lots of friends around you or whatever, it's how you are, your state of mind, and again, it's so important to, I don't know, feed your mind with new challenges, new things to do, because again, it's a state of mind, really.
It's positivity, isn't it? It's hope.
It is, yeah, very much so. A friend of mine who, when I launched Pi back in 2017, she actually did a TED talk a couple of weeks earlier on hope, and it's a really fantastic, interesting story about a suicide attempt. And again, it was a loneliness kind of situation. And the lady, if you ever want to look it up, is a lady called Jill Hayes. Again, it all stems on kind of state of mind and how you can reach out to people to give you that hope. And we've had a few occasions with clients who've come along to events, and they were petrified, and they took that initial jump, and they have changed their life, and they have changed their confidence levels have 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 been increased, and that then enables them to feel confident about meeting maybe a new partner. And I've had so many wonderful stories coming back to say how their self-esteem has grown, and they feel so much more positive about themselves. Yeah, so I think what I've done with the kind of social events and the matchmaking combined is such a I don't know, a winning streak. It's just been so lovely that people can connect again.
That's amazing. I think something else springs to mind when you were saying that. It popped into my mind to think that it's not just always younger people that feel lonely. There's a lot of people maybe who are on their own and they might be in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and even older than that. Some people that have never really had anyone in the last 10 years or even more. Maybe you've got an elderly neighbour who's could just really appreciate a knock on the door with a mask on, of course,
Yes,
and
of
ask
course.
them how they're doing, check in with them, or talk to them over the fence. Just a little chat with them for 5 minutes, asking how they are and showing that you're interested can really change their life very, very quickly. They won't be
Yeah.
lonely if they know they've got someone they can talk to. And don't forget, any person, once you start having communication with people, if you're lonely, all it's going to take is one interaction in a positive way with someone else who is feeling the same way you are, and you've got a new friend. Maybe you've got a new partner, and then your loneliness is just eased dramatically. It's not a long term thing. Loneliness, hopefully for you, will be a short term project that can be easily resolved by just getting yourself out there, doing a little bit of singles events, going out, walking down a different path that you haven't taken before, and just enjoying yourself completely.
Mm,
Now,
it's kind of we are social animals at the end of the day, and that we need that to kind of survive in a way, and we need that social interact, completely that social interaction.
we crave human connection and human communication, which is why dating apps can be very, very addictive. Thinking about that now, because you go on there and you just get a little buzz when you get a connection. Wonderful, someone likes me. You feel good about yourself. Onto the next person, onto the next person, and they can become really, really addictive. Because you've got
Mm,
this sort of paradox of choice here. The more people on there, you're never going to be able to settle because you know there's so many people on there. And you're always looking at it, but it's an illusion of choice because they're not available to you. These people, just go out there and just be open-minded and say hello to new people. I'm going to give my listeners now some of my own brief summaries and a few top tips now about how to overcome loneliness. And Nikki, afterwards, if you can give me any thoughts on my comments, that would be wonderful. Now, we've covered some of these things already, so they are pretty much just summaries, but I'd like to give you my little review, as I do at the end of my podcast, just to help everyone just focus and concentrate on the topic of today. So I want to help you re-energize your social life and your relationships, just using this simple strategies here. Now, number one, I want you to really think and understand why you're feeling lonely and when it is. Do you feel it mainly in the weekends, when you're not working? And what is the nature of your loneliness? Are you lonely for somebody to sit on the TV and watch Netflix with you? Or are you lonely for someone you can go out and have walks with? What definition, what really is lonely to you? Number two, find places where available that you can really connect with others. Because even though it might not seem like it, there are people around you everywhere. You've probably got neighbours, people that you work with, former friends, current friends, even family people that live nearby. And of course, there's social events, there's singles events that are out there. They're all socially distanced, and there's opportunities everywhere, even online. Maybe there's groups, meetups, forums. Number three, I want you to look for hobbies that you can do with others. Nikki, you mentioned how you did cycling and swimming events, things like that. So think about all the things that you like to do and identify which of those could be done with other people. And ask the people that you know who also might be a bit lonely to do them with you. I'm sure you can find a club or a meetup group that can do these things for you. And the next thing, of course, I want you to enhance your current relationships. Maybe you don't need to connect with new people at all. Maybe there's some important people in your life that if you just strengthen that relationship, then you've got someone you can talk to and you've got a whole new friend or even partner. Take a greater interest in their lives. Check in with them. Like I mentioned, the neighbour. Knock on the door. See what they have to offer. Just being friendly, having a nice chat can make someone's day. And when you strengthen your relationships with people, that will help you bring new people into your life too. Because they might have a friend who's also lonely, they can connect with you. I want you to cherish your time alone as well. Because the lockdown and the pandemic is not going to last forever. Think of all the wonderful things that you can do now without interruption. You mentioned earlier you said about reframing it. It's not loneliness, it's about having the choice. And choice is really, really important because you're free now, if you've not got a partner, to do anything that you want to do. If you want to go for a drive in the country or spend a weekend at the seaside or to some extent fly a plane off somewhere to another country, you can do that on your own. You don't have to answer to anybody. Enjoy your freedom now, because when you've got somebody in your life, or you've got lots of friends, then you won't have the chance to do it on your own. And this brings me on to my last tip now. I want you to get out of the house. Even if you've got to put a mask on, avoid the temptation to use digital relationships as a substitute for contacting people in real life. Because no one's going to knock on your door randomly and say, how you doing, I'm here to meet you. Take some action, take control of your social life, just one step at a time. The world is waiting for you. Now, loneliness is quite normal from time to time, it happens to everybody. But if you're lonely on a regular basis, do what you can to enhance your social life and current relationships. There you go. That was quite long, Nicky. What are your thoughts on those?
No, I thought they were brilliant. I love the fact that you have to that people should ask themselves what makes them feel so lonely, and what it means to them. I love also the fact trying to kind of enhance and strengthen your current relationship you have, and reach out to them and say, hey, do you know any other kind of people that are in a similar kind of position to me? Do they fancy going for a walk or just something? But also, I do a bit of running, and when I go out in the morning, it's just so lovely when somebody randomly just says hello. You don't know them, you just have this real sense of, wow, that was really nice. So I think it's really important to go out and, even if you walk past somebody, give them a smile, say hi. And, we're in this kind of epidemic together. I don't think they're going to think you're a weirdo, but I think it's really important to kind of maybe, reach out to kind of strangers, just even talk to somebody next to you in a queue, for example. Just kind of open up some kind of conversation with someone. It does actually make you feel really, really good. And what else? And cherish that time alone. I do really cherish my time alone because I do all these different social events. It is very social, and it's quite manic, and you're always constantly with people, talking to people. So it's so important to have that kind of downtime, that quality you time as well, to kind of balance everything out, really. And going back to hobbies as well, you are going to meet like-minded people. So if you are going to choose a different hobby, paddleboarding has been such a sensation in the UK since lockdown. So if you haven't tried it, I think it's a fantastic way. Again, meeting people on the beach. If you take the paddleboard and chat to somebody else on the beach, you're immediately getting a connection. So it doesn't matter if they're not single or not, but it's going back to what we are, and social animals.
You're so right. There's lots of people out there, maybe they work remotely or they work for themselves and they don't go out. They're feeling really, really lonely because they don't even talk to people. Maybe the last time they even said hello to somebody was a week ago. The very act of just saying hello, good morning to somebody is making yourself speak to someone, interacting. You mentioned that. It made me realise that I live in a little village now, and every time you go for a walk anywhere, even to the post box, somebody will say good morning to you, everyone you pass. And it's so lovely. You feel a real sense of community and belonging. So that is wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicky, for your tips there. Now, if anyone wants to get hold of you or find out about the wonderful singles events or matchmaking you do in the sort of Devon area, then how do they reach you?
They can reach us online, which is the website is www.pisociety.co.uk. So yeah, fairly simple, but people probably wonder why did you call it Pie Society? Is it somewhere where you can eat lots of pies? And but no, it really comes from the completeness of a circle. I completely didn't realise this, but PI actually stands for personal introductions. And also what really means something to me is that we are the bridge bringing the two people together, as in the pie symbol itself. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of different other connotations, but
That's fantastic. I love that. PI also stands for private investigator, which is a former job that I had many years ago. But sticking to the subject of dating, I love that. I think it's a great name. It reminds me of The High Society, a good film that was on many, many years ago, and I love that. So, Nicky, thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
thank you for asking me, James.
You're very, very welcome. Now, just remember, everybody, that there's so many lonely people in the world who are just waiting for somebody like you to reach out to them. Be the one today to take the initiative, and I promise you'll be glad that you did. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.